Hello?
Good morning. Hi, may I speak with Victor, please?
Speaking.
Hi, Victor. It's Katherine from HR's home office. How are you?
Horrible.
Horrible. um, is it just because of my call, or is there something else going on that I need to be aware of?
It's part of it.
Okay. Do you still have some time to talk to me?
Yeah.
Okay. I really do appreciate you making the time. And you are in a position right now where you can speak freely and privately?
Yes, I'm at home.
Okay. So I do appreciate the time. Um, some concerns have been brought to my attention about your branch, and I really want to talk to you privately about it and hear your perspective and side of things. Um, I know you haven't had what you consider to be a perfect experience of employment at Edward Jones. Loud and clear, I think you've shared a lot of examples with me in the past. It's been a while since you and I spoke. Um, I'm worried things haven't gotten better based on some of the things that I've heard.
What have you heard?
And I'm going to go over absolutely every example with you because I really want to hear sort of what's happening. So the conversation I've had so far was actually with the branch auditor. It started with, so Christopher visited the branch in September, and he spent a bit of time with you. And he shared some feedback with me. And I've just asked some questions since then. And so I want to learn about your perspective about any observations you have about Robert as well, because it sounds like things have not necessarily gotten better. So I'm going to ask you some. I'm going to share with you those examples. But so you remember the visit with Christopher in September?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. So I'll start with a pretty simple one, but one thing Christopher noticed was that you were not dressed in line with our dress code when he visited the branch in September. And then that's an unusual thing for one of our auditors to see. He said jeans, t-shirt, hoodie, that kind of thing. I actually asked Robert about it as well, and he confirmed that your attire has been a topic of conversation a few times between you and Robert as well. Do you think you dress in accordance with our policy? Or what do you wear typically?
I wear in accordance. And Christopher didn't mention to this, and when Christopher was in the office, I was in accordance as well. And this is the first time I'm hearing about my dress code. The only thing with Robert is in winter, I asked if I could wear a black heavy sweater, and he said no, just wear it over your shirt if you're cold.
Okay.
And that's what I do.
Okay. So Christopher mentioned that he saw you wearing jeans and a hoodie, so you're saying that that's not a typical thing that you would wear, and you don't recall wearing it on that day?
I do not wear jeans ever.
Okay.
I have one pair of black pants that I wear every single day to work.
Okay.
There was one time when those pants were dirty and Robert was not in the office and it was Christmas holidays that I wore sweatpants and the branch was completely dead. Either way.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
Christopher is the one telling you this?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to be
Yeah.
talking to Christopher then.
So at this point, again, I'm just asking questions. I don't think there's a need for that.
Well, Christopher and I had a real discussion between ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I very doubt that he said that. So I need to confirm this with him as well. On principle.
Okay. Um, okay. So the other thing that Christopher said was that when he first came to the branch, he noticed that you appeared almost upset by his visit, that it almost irritated a little bit, not super welcoming. He also said that you made some negative comments about the former auditor. I asked Robert about how the two of you communicate in the branch, and he also shared some concerns about your style of communication. So some of the words Robert used was, he gave examples of some swearing, raising voice, threatening language. Can I ask you to start by telling me about Robert's communication style? How does he communicate in the branch? Would you say you guys keep it quite professional, or is it? Tell me about how Robert communicates.
I communicate completely honest and open.
Okay. And what do you mean by that?
I mean, I'm honest and open. There is no hidden agenda. There is no feelings where I'm not aware of that I have to subconsciously weasel into the discussion. I share my feelings. I share the reasons why I have those feelings. Everything is very crystal clear. Again, with Christopher saying that I was not welcoming, I gave him free rein. I said, go ahead, do anything you want. You are the boss. Secondly, about the negative comments about the previous auditor, what I specifically said to Christopher was I said I think he's on cocaine. Because he came into the office sniffing his nose, very twitchy and very quick. In fact, he missed a lot of stuff that Christopher found that was in the drawers from years ago. And he missed things like, how come you don't have the security sticker saying you don't have cash on premises? So that auditor did not do his job very well, and it's my suspicion that he was on cocaine. And it's the same with Robert.
What's the same with Robert?
The suspicion.
You think Robert's on cocaine?
No. Me and Robert think that auditor was on cocaine.
Oh.
But obviously this was an internal discussion, and I don't know why Christopher would share this with you. But go on.
So you understand that Christopher is an auditor and works for the firm, and he's assessing general situations in the branch, right? Like not just paperwork, but also just how the branch functions, right?
Like I said, I had a very long discussion with Christopher. So I'm curious to hear what he's actually told you, because we discussed in quite depth a lot of things.
Right, and you're saying exactly what he said. So he shared with me that you said, I think he was coked out, and to me that's quite an accusation, right?
Well, it is an accusation, but I never at the time made it official when he first came last year. Robert never did. I shared that with Christopher because I was comparing him to the last auditor, because he was asking, how come the last auditor didn't find all this?
Yeah.
And I gave him the reasons why.
Okay. So one of the things that Robert shares, not going to lie, that I've personally noticed as well in our past conversations, but that I think Christopher saw a bit of as well, and maybe this is, you being honest and open, but your style leads people to believe you're quite intense. And, so when you hear that others might perceive you as raising your voice, or, for Robert, he said there's some profanity in the branch, that kind of thing. Does that surprise you that people might interpret your communication style as unprofessional or inappropriate?
Absolutely not. It's very insulting for me to hear this right now.
Yeah.
I may sometimes raise my voice when I'm dealing with industry stakeholders such as mutual fund companies or AST or computer share. But that's only because I need to stress to the other person on the phone their mistake and that they need to fix this. And in fact, Robert has specifically said to me that it shows my passion for the branch and the business, that I care so much to get things done. So this is why I'm feeling really insulted right now.
And why I really want to talk about you and why I asked you about Robert's communication style too. So thank you for sharing your perspective. Would you say you guys swear in the branch?
No.
Okay. Have you guys ever had raised voices, tones, any conversations you recall where either of you were shouting?
No, I don't recall.
Robert told me about a situation last year, approximately in April, I think he said, where you had a conversation with his mother. And it sounds like what she relayed to Robert from her conversation with you upset him. Do you recall that situation? Can you tell me about it?
Catherine, yesterday you called me saying that people are interested in how the dynamic was in the branch after a year. And everything you've asked me so far has been accusations made by who exactly? Robert? About issues a year ago? Issues that prompted me to organize the entire region and put together a presentation about all the problems we always have. Now, if we want to go through every little accusation Robert makes, I still have that list from a year ago on my laptop about every single issue he's had with me. Regarding the issue with his mother called me not as a client, but as his mother. I want to make this distinction clear. How do I know this? She called looking for Robert. I took the initiative and sparked up a conversation about Robert. Now, this is in April, over a year ago, so my memory is a little bit fuzzy.
Of course.
I remember speaking to her about her skin condition. She had excess skin production. I forgot the name of that condition. And I spoke to her the problems at the time that I had with Robert. Specifically, how in December he gave me a promise that when he gets back from vacation in January, that he will get me the raise. When he came back in January, I said, Robert, now's the time that you email Catherine and ask for my raise. He replied, not now, in 3 months' time. I asked, why 3 months? Why not now? It's RSP season. It's going to be busy. I said, Robert, that's not an acceptable answer. And that's what sparked me emailing Erica and then emailing you, Catherine. His mother, and at that time in April, we've gone past that initial problem. Eventually, Robert corrected the mistake. He settled with me.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is I don't want to get Robert in trouble for doing what he did, what he needed to do. I already spoke to the other HR person at the BOA regional meeting in June or August or whatever that it was then. What was her name? I would like to speak to her. I mean, she should have known to call me about this. She was new at the time. Do you know her name?
I think at one point you spoke to Crystal, and that was more kind of April, May. And did you speak with her at the regional as well?
At the regional, yes. And with Scott Ward. Okay? Regarding the mother's conversation, I mentioned to her how violated I was by Robert, how I didn't respect him in many ways anymore, and that I didn't want to be his friend. But that I can continue to have a professional relationship. And this was Robert's worry also in January, when I told him it was the same thing. I said, I do not respect you anymore in regards to any of your promises to me. I told to Robert, everything from now on, I don't want to hear how you're going to be nice to me, you're going to do things for me. If you're going to do it, do it. I don't want to hear about it in advance. This is obviously regarding compensation. However, with the conversation with the mother, she, I guess, construed what I told her in the most basest terms of he doesn't respect Robert and you should get a new job. At least that's what Robert told me. She told her.
That Robert should get a new job, or that you should get a new job?
That I should get a new job. And I tried explaining to her that I can continue to have a professional relationship. That Robert's worry in January, and I have this written down in my notebook too. January 22nd, I looked. It was Robert agrees I need to have the compensation, the raise that he promised me. He's worried that my motivation won't be as high as anymore because I told him I felt like I was violated by him. I told him that my motivation probably won't be as best as it was before, but that I will not do anything to hurt the clients and I'll still be a partner in the business and maintain a professional relationship. Now, Robert came back very upset about that conversation I had with his mother. And I had to explain to him that his mother called as his mother, not the client, and that I was being friendly and open and honest, and that his mother was jumping to conclusions. I think it's the stereotype that women overthink things and jump to the wrong conclusion. Am I allowed to say that, or is that sexist? I don't know, but that's my experience in this case. Robert agreed with me. Robert said, you know, I'm the type of person who can step back and see our relationship like we're good. You have your word. I have your word, Victor. We're even. We're okay. The reset button was pressed. I'm sure my mom just jumped to the wrong conclusion. That was the end of that. Now, my question for you is, when did Robert tell you about that?
When I called him, very recently. So I didn't hear about this last year.
Okay.
Which is why I'm asking now, because I haven't heard your side. I haven't heard, your side of things, and there's always two sides, right?
Well, I know I have a better memory than Robert, and I know that I record more than Robert about everything that he has an issue with me. Because Robert...
I'm glad we're talking. So can you tell me, why did you think it was appropriate to have that conversation with anybody outside the branch? Like, that's some pretty specific and personal work and work relationship information that you shared with somebody who didn't work for Edward Jones and was literally his mother. Why would you have opened up to somebody outside the branch about a branch situation?
I only opened up to his mother.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not a conversation you'd have with anybody else? Or do you
I've had that conversation. Well, I've tried it with you initially. I've had it with Crystal. I've had it with Scott Ward. I've had it with Robert multiple times. I've had it with my one friend who used to be a client. That's about it.
Why did you think his mother was somebody you should talk to about that?
She asked me. She started the conversation. I started asking just general, normal questions. How are you? How's it going? Oh, I'm not feeling well. I'm sick. I have this skin disease. It's doing this and that. I'm like, oh, it must be very stressful. Robert's very stressful. I want to help Robert, because Robert stresses over things that I don't feel like he should stress. Like, I feel like it makes it up in his mind. Like, I know. And she's like, yeah, well, you've been stressing him about. I'm like, yeah, I know, but we moved past that. And she's like, have you? And then I explained the situation. See, that's the funny thing is I'm trying to think there, how do I make my job for Robert less stressful? How do I take the stress off of Robert? My good intentions. You see, that's what Robert saw. That's why he wasn't worried. But the fact that he's bringing up this recently now, well, go on.
I asked him. I asked a lot of questions. I asked him. I probed.
Okay.
Yeah, just like
Let's just remember something here. When the auditor Christopher came, when he put a needs improvement rating on our branch, did he mention my name in that letter? Was I at fault there?
No, I'm not asking about the compliance part.
No. So, Katherine, this is exactly the kind of stuff that's in my report where HR is there to protect the FA. And you spoke to the FA first before calling me, the BOA.
What would I have asked you about if I didn't get his perspective?
What you should have done, Katherine, if you really want to get to the bottom of the truth, and you want me to speak freely, is you put me, Christopher, and yourself on a phone call or a meeting first before speaking to Robert. That's what you should have done, in my opinion, based on my presentation in the report. But I see that report has gone through right into the garbage, I think. But go on, you spoke to Robert first, recently, and he's brought up his conversation with his mother over back in April. Now, since then, I had a performance review. How was I rated on that review?
Got an exceeds. Good for you.
Right. And that was after his conversation with his mother. So I think that issue over a year ago was dealt with Robert. So how do you think I feel about you now bringing this up to me?
I just found out now.
Not very well.
Not bring things up?
No, you're allowed to bring things up, but do you understand my perspective where it's like I'm being attacked by someone who doesn't know and by someone...
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
But Katherine...
I need your perspective.
Katherine, you didn't ask for my perspective.
What am I asking for then?
No, you did not ask for my perspective since March, when I last tried to communicate with you.
You sent me an email saying you would no longer communicate with me.
Exactly.
Didn't.
Exactly.
Right.
That I didn't.
What would you like me to do?
Well, you're saying now that you're interested in seeing my perspective about things.
I've had concerns brought to me, and I have to.
You have concerns brought to you, and you have to.
I have concerns about the branch. I want to understand what's happening. It sounds to me like you're still unhappy, and I want to understand what I can do about it.
I am not unhappy.
I need to do about Robert. I need to hear about your experience.
Look, I told Robert.
Concerns too, right?
Look, I told Robert 2 weeks ago when my basement flooded. I was very stressed. My basement flooded. I came into work. There was a stupid little argument about something, but it revealed his character once again, that he can't be open with me. And it was literally, it was over the dumbest thing, Katherine. I have a parking pass. He wanted this parking pass for the clients. That's his intention. But for him, he didn't just say it and come out like, Victor, you're not driving right now. I think it would be nice for the clients to have that parking pass. Instead, he gives me a story about how his car is going to be in the shop. He's going to be using his wife's car. And because his car's license plate is connected to the building parking pass, he has to get my parking pass, which is like a little, like bookmark thing, and put it in his mom's car. That was the first story he told me on a Friday. And then that same Friday, I was like, that doesn't sound right because every car has this bookmark in it. So I talked to the building manager. I was like, Robert just told me the story that his parking is connected to his license plate, that he doesn't have one of these little bookmark things, and he's asking for it. Is that right? He's like, no, no, no. Every car has a bookmark thing. So I'm like, great. Robert's not lying to me over his parking pass. And I have to sit there and think, like, why would he lie about this over something so little? Oh, I see. He wants it for the clients. Well, why doesn't he just say it and come out? And then Monday comes along, and the story changes. The story changes to, I need a parking pass because I'm gonna have two cars parked here. My wife's Volvo and my Audi. And I was like, Robert, that wasn't told me last week, but I see where you're going. And Robert, you can have this pass. I'm not driving. You can have it. Okay, it's yours. I don't even want to hear it, Robert. Like, just take the pass. He said, what do you mean you want to hear it? I'm like, really, Robert? You had the pass. You won. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, Robert, you really upset me after all this time that you can't just ask me something directly and just man up about it. You wanted the pass for the clients. I get that. Subconsciously, I got that. Why couldn't it be a conscious thought? It's over something so stupid, Robert. I thought we were past this, way past this. So this is the last argument I really had with them.
He did tell me about it. Can I ask you? He perceived your response as, so I don't know what he was thinking, and I don't know whether he was being truthful about his actual intention, whether he had various intentions, I don't know. But he did tell me that your reaction was quite an emotional one, and I'm hearing that a bit from what you're telling me now too, right? It's a big reaction. Do you know what I mean? So what you're construing as open and honest and just really trying to get it out there, which I see where you're coming from. I'd rather someone spoke straight to me.
Look, I spoke to my friend about this, that former client. His name is Kelly. I said, Kelly, why is Robert playing these mental games with me? And Kelly laid out the options for me. He's like, look, you can play the same mental games. You can say, oh, well, you can say the truth, Victor, is that your car is under a tarp and that bookmark is buried under the snow under the tarp, which is tied down. And it's too much of a hassle for you to get it just so you can have parking for a couple of days. You can play that mental mind game with him. But, Victor, you should be the bigger man. And you know what? It's his parking pass. He's paying for it. And you know what? It is good for the clients to have. And you know what? I agree with that, Kelly. And I said, Kelly, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger man in this. I'm just going to give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tried to do.
Yeah. Does it surprise you to hear that he thought your reaction was quite big? I think he's nervous about bringing things up to you. He thinks, that your reaction is a bit defensive. He read that as a very defensive and an emotional kind of response from you. So I think he uses words like shouting when he hears you say that.
No, I was not shouting. I was not shouting over this.
Okay. Okay. So something that I found interesting when talking to Robert, Christopher told me that you brought up some of the same concerns to him when he visited in September that you and I talked about earlier in the year, and that you mentioned in your report early last year as well about compensation, branch environment, that kind of thing. I asked Robert about his observations of your engagement and attitude about the work because it's been so many months, and he said that there continue to be many things you're obviously and vocally unhappy about in the branch and your employment at Jones.
Yeah, specifically how I'm not being kept busy. Isn't that interesting that the employee is telling his boss all the time, "What can I do for you? You're not keeping yourself busy. You're not keeping me busy."
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time, I'm sitting there just to wait for the phone call. And Robert's like, I get that, man. It sucks. But that's the job.
In terms of your style, which I think is interesting, I think you guys might be viewing your style differently. He says he finds it, difficult to follow up with you on things. Like if there are any, work errors, or if he's unsure of something, asks you a question, he sees your responses as defensive or dismissive or aggressive.
Really? Really, Katherine? Well, let me ask you something. Does he have any evidence to back up these claims? Or is this just his word?
So I'm just looking for information right now. I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm asking you about it. And I've asked you a bunch of times.
Why am I having this conversation about my relationship with Robert with you? I should be having this face to face with Robert. When a boss goes to HR and complains about an employee, do you see where that's leading?
What do you mean?
Like, I'm being fired. That's what this is, right?
I've not made any decisions. I don't know enough about the situation at all. I need to understand, because I think what I'm hearing, and even in my conversation with Robert, there are some things I need to address with him as well. I've got feedback for him as well. I want to understand your side. I don't know anything.
Catherine,
you said that yourself.
Catherine, I work for Robert. Okay? You know the reason we couldn't unionize was the UFCW union lawyers looked at the structure, looked at the weak connections between the BOA and Edward Jones, and said de facto in court for Edward Jones to stop us from unionizing, they're simply going to argue and change their tune and say that we work for the FA, not Edward Jones. That's the power relationship BOAs are in. We are absolutely powerless at the hands of the FA. So if Robert wants to fire me, he can fire me. He doesn't need a reason.
Yes, he does. I don't let any FA fire any BOA. That's my role to make that decision.
Oh, is that right?
I'm asking you to help me understand.
Okay, I can help you understand.
For the FA, well, that's what I've been asking for since early last year.
So, but my thing is this. I protect myself.
Okay.
In the sense that I can see what kind of Weasley character Robert has been back last year in March when I first brought my attention to you. And I've been protecting myself since then. So when Robert wants to accuse me of shouting and swearing and not wearing dress code, unless he has some evidence, it's just his word, which is based on his character, which has been a proven track record of being what it was. And I've tried to work with him that, listen, Robert, I know you wear a lot of faces. You have a face for your clients. I'm sure you have a face for your friends, a face for your wife. But not with me, Robert. Robert, I know I'm too smart for that. I see right through it. You have to be honest with me. And I had this discussion with him multiple times, including 2 weeks ago. And he even said, it's part of my New Year's resolution to stand up for myself and to be more open and honest. I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, well, one of the things is clients. I'm a bit of a pushover. If they want me to meet with them 2 hours at their house somewhere, I drive and I go there. They should come here to me. I was like, yes, Robert, but it shows to them that you care. That's your pushoverness shows how much you care. But what's that got to do with me and you, Robert? He's like, Victor, sometimes I feel like I have to tiptoe around you. I was like, why, Robert? You're the boss. You come in here, you tell me what to do, you ask what's going on. And remember, Robert, when I first started working for you, and I keep telling you this, is you tell me once to change my behavior to do the process this way or that way, and it's done. With many SOPs, many discussions, many SOPs, specifically about any issue that's going on. RESP, any process in the branch is very well noted. I encourage you to look at my notes. Every step along the way is noted. And Robert and I, we have a system where we bounce to-dos back and forth. He simply puts R2D2, that's his code, that I need to send the to-do back to him to see, so he can see the process. I asked Robert 2 weeks ago, like, what is going on with your tip? Like, what do you mean by tiptoeing? He's like, and he brings up issues. One issue he brought up was in the summer. He loaned me his bike. He basically gave me his bike because I moved to the area. I'm not driving. I can bike to work. He loaned me his bike. I didn't have a bike, but his bike had a flat tire. And the day he was not supposed to be there, I took a 2-hour lunch and I took his bike to the local shop to get the tire fixed. 2-hour lunch. It was more than It was a lot. It was in the summer. Yes, it's dead. I didn't think, and he wasn't gonna be there. So, but he was there. He came in actually to give me a bonus out of his own pocket. But he's like, I came into the office and you weren't there, and I saw missed calls. And as he was leaving the building, I was at the back of the building looking where to park my bike, looking for the bike rack. He's like, I came here to give you this bonus. Now I don't want to give it to you because like you weren't here. And I was like, yes, Robert, you know what? I am sorry. I take full responsibility. But in my defense, I fixed your bike. That's why it took me so long. But that was one of the issues he brought up and I thought was dealt with. The other issue was, so then from then on, I didn't take any more lunches. I was like, Robert, if me taking 30 minutes over or an hour over my lunches when it's dead out, I get it, man. You told me that you built this business 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., that your business is based on referrals, and clients want to hear someone when they call. They don't want to leave a voicemail, so that someone always has to be here. I get that. I get that's why you're stressing about this and why you're making this such a big deal. I won't take any lunches. I'll be here all the time. I only eat once a day anyway. I don't even really need the lunches. I can save money by not eating lunches. Like I just won't eat lunches. I'll be here all the time. And that was supposedly the end of that story. What was the other issue you brought up 2 weeks ago? I don't stay until 4:30. In the summer, he lets me leave at 4 o'clock because he recognizes it's dead as dead. And sometimes, if he's in the mood, he lets me leave at 4 o'clock. Typically, if he's in the office, I have to go to him and ask, "Do you need anything, Robert? Is everything good? What's going on? Everything's good. Nothing's going on. Can I leave?" He's like, "Yeah, you can leave." So I don't have to stay until 4:30. I can leave at 4.
He did tell me there were multiple examples over the last several months where he believed you left when he wasn't in the office. You left early. So is that a conversation you guys have had many times, or was it really just that one time?
No, this conversation we had 2 weeks ago. And I like Robert came back from vacation like 2 weeks ago, right? Or 3 weeks ago, and I was like, "Wow, you didn't call me on vacation for the first time." I'm like, "You must finally believe me that I'm here all the time." He's like, "You know what? I don't believe that." I was like, "What? Why? What do you mean you don't have confidence that I was here in the branch?" And I was like, "You know what, Robert? You can always look at the timesheet. You can see when I log in and log off every day, right? So why don't you have confidence?" It's my word, Robert. My word means something. I give you my word, Robert. Gave you my word when I said I won't take any more lunches. I gave you my word that I'd be here when you wanted me to be here. And there were some days on the holiday that he wanted me to be at 4:30, and some days where he let me go at 4 o'clock. But it's all in the timesheet, so I don't know what the big deal is. I don't know why he doesn't have confidence. I don't know why he wouldn't like just look at the timesheet before not having confidence in me. You know.
Okay. So
The other
I'm
issue.
not comfortable with you not taking lunches. Legally, we have to give you. Like, that's an employment law, not an Edward Jones thing. You have to have at least a half an hour lunch if you work more than a 5-hour shift.
I understand that, but like,
so
what do you want me to do? Just say like I'm on my lunch. Like I'm at my desk. Like, what am I supposed to do? Leave the office for 30 minutes? You know what I mean?
Are you getting a half an hour break during the day, though?
The business is dead. The business is running so well that no one's calling in. Everyone's needs are satisfied. I work too quickly, you know? And that's my biggest complaint is I'm not being kept busy. So in that time of not being busy, I'm not doing anything. So technically the whole thing is a break to me, you know?
Has Robert asked you to take lunches?
No.
When I asked him what your schedule was, he said you guys have talked about it a few times, and he said, I want him to be there 9 to 4:30 with a half an hour lunch. You don't recall a conversation like that?
No.
No? Okay.
Our conversation goes like this. If he has a meeting in the morning, he wants me there early, before 9:15. If there is no meeting, he just wants me 15 minutes there before the market opens. So 9:15.
Sorry, both for 9:15? Can you say that again?
If there's a meeting in the morning, he wants me there at 9 o'clock. He wants me there earlier.
9 o'clock. Okay.
Sometimes
Okay.
earlier.
Okay.
And for this, I debrief him. I say, if it's a prospect, we basically go through the rundown about everything we know about this prospect. And everything this prospect has said they want out of this relationship. And if this fits within our relationship that we want this type of client, or this client has enough assets that we want their business, like we go through the whole the briefing, okay? If there isn't a meeting, then he just wants me there 15 minutes before the market opens.
Which is what time?
9:15.
Okay.
Now you gotta understand, I literally live just down the street. I live like a 15-minute walk. Okay. Like I said, I'm not driving. I literally moved just to be close to work, and it's ridiculously close now.
So you guys haven't had conversations where he has asked you to take your lunches?
Never. Literally never.
So Robert did mention to me, and I said this already, that he finds when he addresses some things with you that you come across as defensive or aggressive or argumentative. And you said to me that he told you that he feels like he has to tiptoe around you. Do you have an idea of why he feels that way around you? Is there...
Yeah, I had this conversation with him where a lot of the problems he thinks he has, like not just with me, but like with the business or with other things in his life, it's in his mind. So let me give you an example. 2 weeks ago, when we were having all these issues hashed out, and with him, it's like clockwork. Like every 3 4 months, like it builds up in him, and then we have this like broad, open-based discussion, and I have to like every issue he brings up, I have to be like, well, I remember this, Robert, or I have it noted, Robert, or this is what I said, Robert, or this is what it was, you know? Specifically, 2 weeks ago, he's like, how come you didn't tell me Patricia Knightley came by when I was away on vacation? Now, when he was on vacation for 2 weeks, literally three things happened, and I had it written down. I told him Patricia Knightley came by. She, I called her to get the signature for. She was relaying Kathy Kapler's stock certificate, power attorney signature, and I called Patricia to get that, and Patricia misconstrued what I was trying to tell her and assumed that she thought it was regarding the transfer from the joint account to her account. In any case, when she came in the office the next day to give me that letter, the power of attorney for the stock certificate, I said, I know on the phone you kind of cut me off there before I had a chance to explain, Patricia, but that transfer was completed. This is regarding depositing the stock certificate for Kathy Clapper. Oh, I was like, yeah, that transfer was completed a week ago. Oh, I'm so glad. Okay. And that's exactly what happened, and that was it. She left. And when Robert came back from vacation, I said, like, this is what happened. Like, these are stupidly three things I was there 2 weeks waiting for to happen. And then later on, 2 weeks ago, when we're having this big broad house shadow over the parking pass thing, he brings up, how come you didn't tell me about Patricia coming? I was like, Robert, I did tell you. I have it written down here. He's like, oh, I forgot. I was like, that's the thing, Robert. I thought you had the confidence in me. I like Robert, when there's a mistake in the branch, the first thought I want you to have is, oh, home office messed up, or the mutual fund company messed up. Not I messed up. I was like, Robert, I thought I built that based on my performance. Out of like after 2 years, you finally get that in your head. He's like, oh, yeah, it's just, I have a million things going on in my head. I'm always stressed. Like, I'm sorry, I thought you didn't say that.
Did you know that when you respond like this, you come across with your emotion that he reads that as quite negative and defensive and, in his words, aggressive?
Look, how he interprets reality is one thing. How he interprets what he's telling you is another thing. Because obviously his intention is to fire me, and you are the decision maker. So when I'm trying to have a discussion with someone, I'm like, look, Robert, I want you always to feel comfortable sharing your feelings. Like you just feel uneasy. And Robert, I promise you, the first thing I'm gonna ask when you share your feelings is why. Everything has a reason why. Why do you feel this way? Why do you believe that? And I will always hear it out, Robert. And just like Robert, when I tell you the reasons behind my feelings, I have, a bullet point of reasoning, and you listen to that. That's how we have a constructive dialogue. But Robert, you have to come to me and share these feelings. He was like, I feel like I have to tiptoe around you. I'm like, Robert, you know my situation in life. And that's why I told you, Catherine, when you first called me, how am I? I'm terrible. But I try not to bring this to work. There is another client of ours, Rick Gilmore, who's the friend of my friend. That's how I met my friend. And Rick came into the office one day, and he's like, Victor, you look depressed. And I was like, Rick, and I took Rick aside after. He's like, you want to have a smoke? I was like, sure. Let me ask Robert. Can I take a break? We got to smoke. I was like, Rick, you can't come into the office and say that to me. Even though it's true. because Rick knows my situation in life too, because he's a friend of my friend. You understand? I was like, it has nothing to do with Robert, and it's not something you need to bring up when you come in for a meeting, Rick. It creates a bad vibe because then Robert's gonna, because Robert knows my situation just as well as you do. Then Robert's gonna come to me and be like, Victor, how can I help you? And I've been there with Robert. It goes to the dead end. Robert wants to say nice thing. He doesn't want to do anything about it, and he doesn't need to do anything about it. But he brings it up, and he thinks he needs to bring it up to try to help me. And just words don't matter at this point. And I've told this to Robert. I'm telling this to you, Rick. Like, this is my situation in life. And when I come to work, I don't want to bring my life into it. I just want to do my job well, and that's it. I want to keep busy. I want to, and Rick, by you bringing that stuff up, it creates a bad relationship because Robert, I know he's going to play off of that and come to me later and pretend like he's all concerned or he is concerned, but he's not going to do anything. So that's the relationship I have with.
So you're saying he interprets. I guess my question was, so it sounds to me like.
Yeah, the point I was getting at.
The office. Yeah.
The point I was getting at is, I go into the office and maybe I can see how he's picking up my vibe sometimes, and maybe he thinks I'm angry at him or like I'm depressed at him or whatever my feelings are at him. Maybe he thinks that, but really I'm just trying to bottle it up and just leave it out of the relationship. But that doesn't mean like I'm gonna come into the office every day and be so happy about life and things, and because Robert expects me, because he gets used to me being so like energetic and like, how are you, what's going on, that's funny, would you see the sports, like, you know what I mean, all the conversation that's not about business. He got used to that, he expects that. And then when I don't, portray that to him every day, or maybe like a week at a time I don't, then he's like, oh, he's not being my friend right now, and he's like, is he mad at me? Like, I can see. And Robert, we had this discussion. Like, I told this to Robert. Like, Robert, you're kind of playing yourself. Like, you're picking up on things that aren't there, and then overthinking it, and then thinking we have a problem. Like, Robert, my word is good when I tell you, Robert. Like, everything was reset when we evened up back last year. Like, it was good, man. And Robert, the business is doing better than ever, and our clients are happier than ever, and everything's running as smooth as ever, right? Like.
So what is he seeing on those days that maybe you're not in that kind of, your words, friendly kind of jovial mood?
What he's seeing
that's making him feel that way?
It's not what he's seeing; it's what he's not seeing. Because, like I said, he's used to like me being a friend, me coming into the office, for example, and asking, does he want to get a coffee? Even though I don't even drink coffee, but I'll still go out across the street and get him his coffee. You know what I mean? He'll not see me like talking about market developments. He doesn't see me like we used to have a lot of times discussions about what's going on in the market. Like, if something big in the news happens, we'll talk about it. And the last thing we talked about was back in November, was the basically the Federal Reserve printing money for the overnight lending rate that spiked from like 1% to 9% in 2 days in September because of a lack of liquidity. And so the Federal Reserve is basically doing quantitative easing. And I was like, Robert, you know just as well as I do that if the economy is strong, interest rates should be rising, and they should be reversing the quantitative easing that they've tried doing in 2017 and they were doing from 2010 to 2015. Like, the economy right now is being propped up by fake money being printed, and that's what's keeping the stock market up. That was the last discussion we had, like sort of analysis that me and him have. And that's the thing,
so when
Robert.
You guys don't have a discussion, what is your interaction? Well, like if you were to paint the picture for me, is it just not talking? Is there stomping going around, or
no,
what is happening?
like I come into the morning, I look at the account activity, I look at the emails, I look at the service requests. If there's anything that I need to tell Robert what's going on, I tell him what's going on through the intercom, or I come into the office, say, look, this needs to be signed, or this document was rejected because you didn't sign it. Can you please sign this? Um, there's
So that's
no,
the
there's not.
work. But in terms of demeanor, do you find yourself short on those days? Do you find yourself abrupt? Like, I'm not there, and he hasn't gone into this detail with me. I guess I'm just trying to.
No, I'm not.
Can
I'm
you
not.
guess at what might be making him feel that way, or no?
He thinks I'm stomping around and being abrupt.
No, that's what I said. He hasn't talked to me about it. I'm trying to get you to use descriptive words about what you think he might be seeing, because you're describing the good days, and I'm asking you, what do you think the bad days look like, right? So that you and I can figure out why Robert's feeling this way.
Okay,
He hasn't gone into this detail, so those are my words completely. I'm just trying to give you examples of, I don't know, descriptive words that might help me understand what's happening.
Descriptive words.
Yeah, because you're describing the good times. So what's the alternative? On those other days, what's he seeing?
Well, what's
you're telling me,
look,
you know, that
look, what's he seeing?
sometimes.
Listen, what's he seeing is I'm trying to think hard here. What he could be seeing.
Yeah.
What he could be seeing is like, here's my BOA. He's way overqualified. He's really intelligent, and he's not busy. He's not doing anything. That's what he sees, and that's what I see, and we're both feeling that. Is like, there's so many things at this point after 2 years that I can take initiative and keep myself busy on. And he's run out of ideas how to keep me busy. To give you an example, DSC information. Every 6 months, everyone's DSC information is updated. And we have 250 clients. And that's been done every 6 months. And it's very long, tedious work. You know, another thing that he came up to try to keep me busy was off-book Manulife accounts, the 222 accounts, where people have like 2, 3, 4 grand in an in a group RSP, but it's all these clients have their accounts open. They're all 1 stars. So I go through all the 1, 2, and 3 stars and try to get them to 4 stars if I can't. And especially if they're in the 222 group, I encourage those people to transfer out their group RSP, especially if that, like, a few companies went bankrupt since then, so they just have this money they probably don't even know they have there. So I call the clients there. You know,
right. So just projects like that, yeah.
You know, so like when he's not, there's nothing to do and I'm just sitting there, that's what he's seeing. You know.
And do you think he's interpreting your body language, your bored tone? Because you're telling me you're bored. Like, when you're sitting there, are you rolling your eyes? Are you grumpy? Like, what are those? What do those days look like for you?
Well, I sit there and I read a lot usually. I'm always reading or browsing on my phone. I try to keep myself busy. I read the news a lot. I mean, you can look at my.
So you just don't. I guess I'm wondering, on those days, do you find yourself short? So I'm just repeating again. If he's interpreting you as shouting or aggressive or defensive, you don't think that you've ever displayed actions like that?
I have displayed that, never towards him, because I look, I need this job. He knows I need this job. And even though I don't want to be his friend, I want to help the business. I enjoy building the business. I enjoy helping clients. You know, when there's an RESP withdrawal, I love doing that. I just recently did one for Morris Jessian. I loved helping Dove. Dove didn't even know how much he could take out for the full year, $23,000. You know, he was taking OSAP before, when this RESP was all growth. And this RESP account was going to close in 2 years because it's almost 30 years old. And once the account closes and that growth portion hits the taxes would be like 50% on like $70,000. And I remember researching way back when with Morris. I was like, listen, if you have any children or grandchildren, they need to be listed as beneficiaries on this, and they need to take out as much money as possible before the account gets closed and you get hit with this tax. Because the previous advisor did not like take out money correctly. Like when you take out money from an RESP, you take out the growth portion first and the capital portion last. Because the capital portion, when you take back, you won't get taxed. But the growth portion, when the account closes, you'll get taxed.
I love your passion for the role. It's actually, honestly, your tone completely changes. I hear the passion. I can see why Robert said that about you before, like you said.
So this is me.
You said, but never towards him.
Never
so
toward.
When have you displayed aggressive and shouting in the branch?
Like I shouted at Manulife a lot.
I see. Okay.
Like I get bounced around. I call Manulife. I'm trying to get to the segregated funds department. I go on our system. Not even our system anymore. I have an SOP for Manulife. I know every single one of their numbers. And sometimes, or most of the time, I always get like caught up with like these people who don't know how to transfer me to the right department, or don't know that I'm calling the right department, or don't know they can help me. And so I get bounced around like 2, 3 times. And everyone's always polite, like, how are you? How can I do? I'm like, listen, I'm terrible. I just got transferred 3 times trying to call you. It's been 40 minutes now. It's a simple question. Why can't you answer this for me? Can you answer this for me? Okay, great. Finally. That's when I'm short. But never with a client, and never with Robert.
Okay.
Especially with Robert, because I know with our history that I have to be careful with him.
In the past, you and I have talked about compensation. I know that's an ongoing issue for you. Christopher said you brought that up as well, and I asked Robert if the two of you have had any more conversations on it. He says you're still unhappy.
I didn't.
Sorry, go ahead.
Look, with him, with compensation, I'm happy. Here's where I'm not happy with compensation. He goes on vacation. He comes back and he says, like, Victor, I was gonna give you a bottle of rum, but I know you don't drink and that you'd prefer cash. But then never gives me the cash. He's done that twice in the last 4 months. And he should know not to do this, because I said, Robert, when it comes to you gifting me or bonusing me, I don't want to hear how you're going to do it. And I don't expect you to do it. But if you're going to do it, just do it.
Yeah.
And don't bring it up that you've done it the next time we have all this argument. Like the last time we did this is parking pass argument when we had the broad-based discussion from 2 weeks ago. He's like, I'm nice to you. I gave you my bike, and I gave you money out of my pocket. And and that's when I told him then. I was like, Robert, you can't, like, first of all, Robert, you're doing the same thing you did before, where it was like, you're telling me what you want, what you're gonna do for me, and then you're not really doing it, and it's over like little things, but again, it's the principle that's still there, like the same character is still there, Robert.
Right.
And I was like, Robert, do you remember what I told you? And you know this. He's like, yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry. It's like, Robert, it's okay. It's fine.
Has he given you more money in the last year?
Look, I don't want to get him in trouble.
He's already admitted to some. I want to see if you guys give me the same numbers, honestly. He's not supposed to be doing it. There's a difference between like a birthday gift or a gift when he comes back from vacation. Not something I'm going to address.
Well, if you put it like that, I can't talk.
So when you and I spoke back in, this was like late 2018. This was like the first few months. Do you remember? I was really supportive of you. So what you're describing here is disappointing to hear that it hasn't stopped. The fact that he'll promise you a bonus and not give it to you, or promise you something and not give it to you, that's frustrating.
No. He didn't. Look,
have they stopped, or is that still happening?
it's basically stopped. Look, the issue back when I first talked to you last year was he was supposed to give me $200 a month, and that was supposed to like cover the difference between what I was making as an on-call and what it was as full-time because my hours were cut.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, and that was one issue. The other issue was like in January when we came back, we were supposed to get a salary raise too. So that was the other issue with compensation. And I spoke to Crystal about that, and I said, look, it's fine. I'm dropping it. He settled up. Okay, he evened up. Okay.
What does evened up mean?
Look, I don't want to get him in trouble.
So he said he told me he gave you $1,000. Did he give you $1,000?
Yes.
Okay. Were there any other large sums like that shared with you?
No, but he would. Look, I don't even know why I'm protecting him still. I mean, the fact that look, yesterday after you called me, I immediately called Robert 3 times and on my cell phone after work, and he never returned my call. So clearly he wants me fired.
So just like when I talked to you, and I told you I'd rather you don't talk to him first so that I get your fresh perspective, I told him the same thing. So it sounds like he listened to me.
But like we had a broad-based discussion, like I keep referring to, like 2 weeks ago. So where is this coming from, right? And that's what I asked you yesterday on the phone. Where is this coming from? And it's coming from Robert. If he's sharing these things with you.
But it's not just Robert, right? So when I hear from Christopher, and based on conversations last year, it sounds to me like the fact that I'm still hearing anything at all, things haven't gone away. And you can see why I don't feel comfortable just sitting there not addressing it. So when I hear that kind of thing, yeah, I poke and prod at Robert to find out what is going on in his branch. Because if as a leader he's still taking actions that are putting the firm at risk, like you not taking lunches, like giving you money outside of our taxable and documentable system, like all these things, if he's still giving you wishy-washy or false promises, or not good at, not setting clear expectations, if you guys are having shouting matches, if all of this is happening, you have to understand I need to look into it. It's not okay. Because I can't have one of my leaders acting like that. And if he needs to hear much stronger feedback from me, if I need to take disciplinary actions against either of you, you need to understand I have to ask questions, right? Like, I hope you see that I can't just sit back and allow this to keep going. So, you're saying, you said a few times you don't want to protect him, this and that. But there's also a lot going on that's showing that you're still frustrated. And let's say you find another job, someone else is in this situation, right? I can't have Robert continue to repeat these patterns and actions. I can't have it. And I also can't address it until I hear about it. So yeah, part of it's you said that you guys should be having conversations, but part of it's you guys have also been working together 2 years, and it honestly doesn't sound like it's gotten any better. Because I'm hearing the same stuff. A pattern tells me there's a problem that's not resolving itself, and that I need to change my approach. Is that fair? Like, am I looking at this completely crazy in your mind?
No. I hear you. I think you're right about maybe a pattern there.
On both sides, though, Victor, right? So he's still perceiving your responses as aggressive or defensive, and he's still tiptoeing. That's not a good thing either. So, and
but I need to stop you there because, like, every time he has an issue with me, like, he wins. Whatever, like, in winter I wanted to wear my sweater. No, Victor, the dress code. I was like, okay, fine. And I just wear the dress shirt under my sweater, you know. The issue over lunches. I was like, okay, Robert, I just won't take any lunches. The issue over 4:30. Okay, Robert, you want to say the business is going to pick up and be busy now that it's not summer? I'll stay until 4:30, Robert. Okay? Like I tried pointing out things like, look, the business is just as dead as it is in summer, but in the end, he's the boss. He gets to decide. He always wins.
It's not.
And
It's
the
not
other
that
thing
he's
is
the
that,
boss. These are the firm rules. It's in your employment contract. You work a certain number of hours, and you have to take a lunch. And for most BOAs, that's a 1-hour lunch. For you, the legal minimum is half an hour. Edward Jones' preference is an hour, so you can actually get something done on your lunch. You can actually separate. That work-life balance is there, and our branch is able to be open longer.
okay, I
Benefits
didn't
all
know we
around.
could take an hour-long lunch. I didn't know that.
It's in your contract that you signed, but that's our standard. So if you're cutting down to half an hour, it's an option. It's not. It's like that's absolutely on the table as an option, and some BOAs prefer that because they end up with a shorter day, and so it's not something that we take off the table. But it's not our default. And so if he's asking you to stay a certain number of hours, it's not him being the boss and making stuff up. It's him following the firm process. Again,
Okay,
so it's
but
like in any other
Catherine,
company.
I need to interrupt you here. I'm sorry.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Just in terms of, because I'm getting a real confusion about who is the boss and who makes up rules and who does this, and I just want to be very clear. You work for Edward Jones, and so does Robert. You happen to report to Robert, who's supposed to be doing a job of enforcing the Edward Jones rules. What I'm hearing is he's not being awesome at that. But what I'm also hearing is that you seem to think that he's the be-all, end-all, and it's all coming from him, just like with compensation. And I feel like you and I have had this conversation before. It's not his decision. He has a little bit of discretion in there, like any leader does in any company, right, assigning the rating. But there are guidelines, there are parameters, we have to ensure internal equity. There's
Yeah,
a
but
lot of that. He doesn't have
okay.
the decision-making, and I keep hearing you thinking that he does.
Look, this is basically one of the biggest points in that presentation, the report I made last year with all the BOAs in the region, is that's the power that is the power relationship. Like, look, it would be nice if there was a third person in that office that was managing the office that was from Edward Jones and represented Edward Jones. But you have to understand that as BOAs in our powerless position, we do not feel connected to Edward Jones. We do not feel protected by Edward Jones. The only thing protecting ourselves is reading the relationship and working around that. Do you understand? Like, we have to protect ourselves, and to do so, sometimes to preserve that relationship, we can't speak up. We can't point out what Edward Jones' policy is.
So you're talking about a systemic problem. So how do you propose that HR or that the firm addresses if a power imbalance like that, if it exists? How do we address it, fix it on a broader scale?
Okay, I think
without addressing it.
I think,
right? So what's happening in your situation is you guys are somehow finding ways to skirt the system by either shortening your day, by skipping your lunches, by him paying you out of pocket to appease you because he perceives you as being unhappy about compensation and he's trying to fix the relationship.
Okay, I need to. All right, this is why I wanted to interrupt you earlier. When it comes to compensation, I'm happy. I've told Robert, like, I've come to terms that this is the money I'm going to make every month, and I'm okay with that. Like, I don't expect any raises. I don't expect any bonuses. I want to make this very clear to you that, like, after the turmoil I went through last year over compensation and the damage that did to the relationship, I never wanted money to come up between me and Robert ever again. And I let it go internally. You understand? Like, I told Robert, I don't expect anything. I don't want you to, Robert. It's just money and me and you, it doesn't work anymore. Let's not bring it up. I know you want to be nice or whatever, but I'm okay. I'm financially stable. It's okay. Let's not bring up money. So I don't want you to say I'm unhappy with compensation still and that he thinks he needs to, because I've explained to him very clearly he doesn't need to anymore, and I explained this to him almost a year ago. And since then, yeah, he's given me money, a little bit of money out of his pocket randomly here and there. Okay, look, I don't want to get him in trouble, but at the same time, like, I want to be honest with you. I can't trust either side at this point. But look, this is who I am. I'm an honest person, so I'll be honest with you. When he's giving me money out of his pocket, It's because I've done things that went against my philosophy, not much less Edward Jones. For example, a couple months ago, Ellen Gironis called. She's one of our biggest clients, and she has a lot of money still in other places that Robert's trying to get over here. Robert was neglecting her, not returning her calls, maybe two days in a row. Which for Ellen, as you can imagine, being a top client, she gets top service. So for 2 days in a row, for Robert not to return her calls, she was getting very antsy. And she called the third day asking, "How come Robert hasn't called me? He was supposed to call me today." And I could hear in the voice, and I lied to her. I said, "Listen, I'm looking at the calendar. He has a schedule tomorrow morning to call you," even though that wasn't the case. Just to calm down the client and, fix it. When I told Robert what I did, he gave me $50. And I'm sure you're reading that into, he's compensating you when it's not supposed to be compensated. Like he's encouraging a bad thing, you know, which I consider that a bad thing. I don't want to lie, you know, to a client. This is who I am. I'm an honest person, and it's like so hard being an honest person in this field with Robert sometimes, and
It really concerns me that he's sort of kind of inconsistent, back and forth. You described this to me before, and I'm seeing a bit of it in some of your examples now.
he is inconsistent, but he has a lot going on in his own life. He has like a kid in the hospital who's getting surgery. He has some sort of problem with his wife. He takes business coaching very serious from Julie, and I've spoken to Julie about this, and I suggested that we should have coaching with three of us, because I know Robert better than anyone in Edward Jones. Um, there's a lot going on in his life, and I've sort of accepted that some people they don't remember everything. Me, I have nothing going in my life, so like I remember everything. You know, when I come home, I don't do anything. I don't have another life really. I just watch TV and that's it. So for me, like I remember everything, and chronology is very important to me. And I understand like not many people are like me, and I understand I'm not even like me like this with my memory when I have things going on in my life. Because when you make new memories, it pushes other concerns away and you forget about them. With Robert, he doesn't have that luxury or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, sometimes he comes in the office, he doesn't remember things. Sometimes he takes it out on me, and I have to, guide him through things, our relationship. And I really just want him to understand that when I give my word about something, when I say I'm 100%, like that is good as gold, you know? And that's sort of like small disappointment after 2 years that he still doesn't have that good as gold trust in me.
I'm trying to figure out why that is.
It's him. It's honestly him. It's just who he is at this point. Like that's what it is. I can't explain it really. If I can't explain it, that's what I have to say.
You were talking about an argument that the two of you had, or sorry, argument, I don't know if that's the right word at all, but a conversation you guys had about the parking pass. He told me about another situation that's happened somewhat recently. I think he said it was January 13th. I think he said he was looking for some paperwork at your desk, and you came in and you responded defensively and aggressively. Do you recall this situation?
Yeah, that was the same day as the parking pass stuff.
That was the same day?
Yeah. So he went through my drawer and he looked at the Edward Jones folder that was sealed. Now this is the folder he gave me to put in documents that are blank but signed by the client. Specifically, Jack Leiser. I remember this because I was dealing with Jack a lot lately. He had stocks and he had like 5 stocks, all in like a joint name or his wife's name who had passed away. So I was going through that whole process with AST and Computer Share, and he came in a lot of times. And Jack lives in like Etobicoke, so he has to drive like 30, 40 minutes through traffic to get to us. So Robert signed them, made him sign extra forms just in case we needed them. And he put them in the Edward Jones folder and he gave it to me. And he's like, compliance can't go through sealed folders. So as long as this is closed, compliance can't go through this. So don't worry about it. And that was a discussion. This is Jack Leister. This started in August. And then that day, January 13th, or 2 weeks ago, that's when like I'm going through my folder and I see this folder missing. Like I go through my drawer and I see this folder missing. So I go into Robert's office. I was like, "Did you take this folder that you gave me before?" Yeah. I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, I was looking for Leslie Picar's folders." And I was thinking in the back of my head, he knows where all the client folders are, and they're in a completely different drawer. And the other situation is that folder he gave me, I buried it in the other drawer because I knew it's dangerous. So I didn't immediately I saw like he was not being honest with me and that he wasn't trusting me and that he went through my drawer on purpose, like he was snooping around. And he's like, "Well, I wanted this Edward Jones folder for a meeting." I was like, "Okay, Robert, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it." He's like, "What do you mean you don't want to hear it?" "I don't want to hear it." And I went back to my desk. He came back and he pressed the issue. And then that's when I was like, "Robert, I can see you don't trust me. I can see that. Okay, that's what I got from this. I don't want to hear about excuses about you accidentally found it. Same thing with the parking pass." And that's when I brought up the parking pass. And that's when we had a broad-based discussion.
How escalated did that conversation get?
Yeah, like there was some shouting on both sides there. You gotta understand, like 2 days ago from that day, my basement flooded. I lost a lot of things. I lost my one escape after work, which is the internet, because my laptop fried itself. Like I was very stressed, extremely stressed. So I was shouting at him because I was angry and upset that he didn't after 2 years he still doesn't trust me. After all this time he can't be open and honest with me, and he says he has to tiptoe around me. I was like, "What do you mean?" Like I got really upset at that because like I don't know. Yeah, that day was not good for me.
Yeah.
I questioned his manhood. Like that's how upset I was with him. Like I questioned his manhood. You know.
What do you mean?
Well, I said like, "Robert, I'm the trustworthy one in this. I'm not the one who shakes people by the hand, looks them in the eye, and gives them a promise they were promising for 6 months, only to come back and try to weasel out. I'm not the one who has different faces. I have one face for everyone. The last thing I have, and you should know this, Robert, and I have nothing. The only thing I have left is my identity of being a good person and being honest and open. But you are the one Robert, who doesn't trust my word yet. And what about you, Robert? Where do you come from? How did you start in the business? You told me yourself, Robert, you see your life at the time as that movie, The Boiler Room. You were literally working in a boiler room, calling clients in 2001 and saying, look at this shell company that went up 20% the other day. You should buy it. It's going to go up another 20%. And it was your own company selling that shell company that you were pitching to clients or prospects and ripping them off. And they lost everything. And the only reason you didn't get in trouble is because you were working with investigators. And you want to question my integrity? No, Robert. I'm the good one in this office. I'm a man. I've been alone since I was 20. Okay? I stood up to my father when I was 13. What about you, Robert? Are you a man? Where's your integrity? Where's your honesty? Where's your belief in something greater than yourself? What did you tell me, Robert? You didn't have a father. You were a bastard. You never stood up to your father. And you want to question my loyalty to you? I do anything you ask. What employee begs their boss for work? Usually it's the other way around. The employee doesn't work it up. Like, I know I'm a good fucking worker. So I got upset. And I said that what I said to you, okay? So you can fire me, but I'll never sell out. I'll never say what they want me to say when it's wrong.
Oh, Victor.
You know how many times I protected this guy? You know how many times I was loyal to him? You know how many times I could have called Christopher any time and been like, look what Robert said. Look, he made me put this folder with again what you warned him not exactly to do. And that's probably why he was snooping around. Is he picked up on me not being as friendly with him and having small talk with him, and he's like, oh, I'm losing Victor. I can't trust him anymore. Let me get that folder back in case he uses it against me. You know, that's probably his mentality.
Why did you protect him?
Why did I protect him? It's a question I'm really asking myself now. You know why I protected him? Because I thought if I went to Christopher with this, that he'd just get another warning, and then he would know that I did this, that I told Christopher, and that he was going to fire me. He was going to find one reason one way or another. It was going to be a ticking time bomb. You know, speaking about, because this is over Jack Leiser, that's what the stuff in the folder was. You know, Jack gave me a bigger Christmas bonus than Robert did. Isn't that sadly ironic in some way? When clients are giving a bigger Christmas bonus than when the boss is.
What did Jack give you?
Give me $150 and a bottle of wine. Robert gave me $100. Oh wait, no, sorry. Jack gave me $150, and he gave Robert $50 and a bottle of wine, and then Robert also gave me that $50 and that bottle of wine.
Why do you still want to work with Robert?
I don't want to work with him now. I mean, look what he doesn't trust me. And look, when he doesn't trust me, he's like a little weasel. He can't man up. He can't confront me about it. He goes to you. Even though we had a broad-based discussion 2 weeks ago, and he said himself, like, we're good now, right? We're good. You know? Who wants to work with anyone like that? But I need a job to survive. That's what it is at this point.
You strike me as a really intelligent and capable person. Why Edward Jones? Have you looked elsewhere? Or other branches?
I looked elsewhere a year ago, but I gave up after applying to like 100 places and getting like 3 rejections. Um, that former client of ours, Kelly, who's my only friend right now, he's um, he's helping me. He's um, he's got 3 rental properties, one in Hamilton, one in Pembroke, and a commercial place in Pembroke. It's like a rundown theater that's been gutted out. And I've been, well, he's been helping me financially just by paying the interest on my debt. And in return, I've been helping him any way I can. Um, like in August, I went with him. I put together a presentation to the city council there about what we wanted to do, and we looked at all their incentives, and we asked what else they could do for us. We made connections in the area, and lately I've been talking with like architects and things like that. That's the one good thing in my life going right now is Kelly, you know, who I met through Rick, who is also a client through Edward Jones. Um, but that's what I'm focusing on now. Like I try, and he's trying to fix my resume up and try applying again elsewhere.
I have to tell you, when you started talking about what you like about your role and helping the client figure out their RESP and that kind of thing, your tone changed completely.
Yeah, like you gotta understand, like when I go to work, I don't want to think about my own life. I don't want to think about Robert and our relationship sometimes. But like to not think about it, I need to be busy helping clients, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And like clients appreciate me more than Robert appreciates me. You can tell that just by how Jack bonused me versus how Robert bonused me, right? And like when clients say like Victor, you helped me so much and you're great. Like another one was like other than Dove Sitnick and Justin Morias was Dennis Raish. So Dennis, he's very sick. He's living in Alberta. He was a truck driver. He had cancer and he's got all like a slew of all these health issues. And he's going through a divorce with another client of ours, Nushi, and to settle up, he has to basically pay her off like 10 grand or whatever. But the only money he has is in a Lyft account, you know, and he already did like an extra unlocking through income hardship, less than $30,000 income last year in August, and he needed this money like in November, like a couple months ago, and he was gonna take like a huge tax hit trying to get it out. And like I did my research, and I talked to Robert, and it was like the best way to do this is if we wait until January, the new year, and we can do another hardship unlocking. And that was initially what we're gonna go through. And then when talking with Home Office, I think it was Emily, I was like, look, he needs to take out this money to pay off this amount of money. And what would the tax be? Like, would he have enough? And she's like, you know what, Victor? He can probably qualify for a small balance unlocking. I was like, that's great. I called Dennis back, and Dennis is so happy. He's like, I get to take out 23 grand, like all of it, and it's directly into my account. I was like, yes. And the tax would have been the same amount as if you only did the 4 grand, 20%. And like he was so happy. Like you don't understand. Like that made my day. I can like really help this person, you know?
Yeah.
And like I pride myself in like when someone calls and I say I'm gonna call back, I call back like within an hour with an answer, you know? Like you don't understand. Our clients have the best service, like the best, you know? And I don't know if by now enough people have done that like FABOA survey where they like how Edward Jones calls them and they ask questions.
Like a CEI?
Yeah, the CEI. Yeah. I don't know if enough clients have done that now to like reflect what I'm telling you, but at the time when I last checked with Robert like a couple months ago, I was at like 70 or 80%, but only like 10 clients did the survey, you know?
Yeah.
But like you can just see how much attention to detail I have with clients with like the notes I put on their accounts and stuff. Like I know my clients, you know, and like I say my clients because like I help them way more than Robert. Like Robert, meets with them, discusses their situation, takes their information, and tells in most cases me what to buy for them. Like I do the trades too,
Yeah.
and then after that, a client calls and I remember one time Brenda Parsons called and she's like asking like why Enbridge moved, and I was like, this is the news of the day. There's a pipeline protest in Montana for Enbridge's Line 3, so it's probably going to be delayed again, and it's not good news. So Enbridge is down 3% today. Which for Enbridge, a dividend stock like that, that's a huge movement. That thing only moves around 44 to 50 over the last 2 years. So for it to move like $2 almost in 2 days, it was a big movement. So, I told, Parsons like this is the news, and I asked her like, do you still want to talk to Robert? He's like, no, 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 you told me everything I wanted to know. You know, so a lot. That's the thing. Is like I don't let clients talk to Robert unless only he can answer their questions. I always ask, can I help you first? And because a lot of clients still they kind of call in, they don't really know me yet, and they don't think I can, help them. So I have to like force them to go through me, and then I can demonstrate my ability to them, and then eventually they'll praise me for it. In most cases, just takes some time, But I can say I'm pretty good with like a lot of clients at this point, like on a good level, like on a deeper level than just like a secretary.
Right. Yeah. So I'm at a place where I need to figure out what our next steps look like. Um, it probably won't surprise you that Robert feels pretty uncomfortable about the conversation you guys had on January 13th. Um, the way that it escalated. Um, if I were to ask you, is there hope for the two of you to continue working together? Because I've got to digest all this information.
Look,
What is there an ideal solution here? If I were to like, What would you like to see happen? What can I do?
Honestly,
what would you do?
Honestly, at this point, like I'm like Robert really look. Robert is good in his own way, in that he does care about the clients. So I can't say he's like overall everywhere a bad guy. You know, because I have to be honest and fair still. At the same time, the way he is as a person, much to be desired, I would say.
Yeah.
How can I see this going in the future? I mean, is it the BOA's job to harass their boss for work and things to do to help them? I don't think it is. Like, I don't think it is all the time, at least. At a certain point, he has to man up. Like, I've said this to his face. You need to just man up. What do you want? Let me do it. What's your concern? What's your feeling? Why? Okay, let me see if I can help. Why? But he needs to take that initiative, you know?
Yeah.
But,
I've heard bits of that in my conversation with him too. And I think that's when I say back and forth. I feel that a lot. I'm like, okay, make a decision. Like, what, so it's, that doesn't surprise me, that feedback.
okay. So I don't know. Look, I need a job. But if he's gonna fire me, if you're gonna fire me, whatever. It's fine. It's not fine, but whatever. What can I do? He's the boss. Edward Jones values their FAs. As long as the FA is doing well and is profitable, who's not going to listen to the FA saying, look, I don't like my BOA. I don't like coming into work. Does it matter if the reasons of him not liking to come into work is because of his own personal faults? Like I said to him multiple times, you have cognitive dissonance. You think you're a nice guy, that you do a lot for me, but your actions show otherwise. For one example of cognitive. So on a professional level, you should fire me, because you need to, as your business, like from Edward Jones' perspective, it's the FA is not happy with the BOA. Just get rid of the BOA. No questions asked. That's what it is. It's all about business. That's from the business perspective. And I can see that. I can see it all over the society, but I'm not on that part of society. I'm a good person. For me, there's more than just business in a relationship. And the fact is for me, I've tried, I've, I've maintained this odd relationship with Robert over these last 2 years, and this is part of my job description to get this salary at this point. I've accepted that. And for me, I can go into the office right now and have this broad-based open discussion again with Robert. And like my friend Kelly says, tell him what he wants to hear, even if you don't agree with it. Because you need this job, Victor. Just tell him what he wants. That's the game. That's how it is in life. People suck like that, but that's how it is. Tell him what he wants to hear. Proverbially jerk him off. Make him feel good about himself. Even though it's not in your job description. Even though he doesn't deserve it as a person. But you need this for your job. That's what Kelly's advice is to me. And I can do that. I have that choice. Is it right though? In an ideal world, I find another job, I find better people to work with. But in an like in this world, you have to do what you have to do to survive. And every day it's a struggle to keep who you are while trying to survive. So if you fire me, it's fine. Like I'll live off welfare. I'll move into the middle of nowhere, and that's it. Like I give up in life. I don't care anymore. Honestly, like I'm tired of this world killing me for being good, for being honest. Now, if Edward Jones' philosophy, which is very unbusinesslike, in the sense that it says it values the BOA and it values a lot of good virtues, you should fire Robert based on those criteria. Because he lacks all of these virtues. Whatever perspective you want to look at from, these are the perspectives I look at from.
I mean, the one thing I disagree with there is that we don't care the reasons why NFA is unhappy with the situation. I absolutely do, which is why I keep picking your brains about what did Robert do, what did Robert say, what's his style, is he leading by example, and these kinds of things. Like, I really do want to know. I'm disappointed to hear that he kept up some patterns that.
Look, if you really want to understand, because from your perspective, you're talking to someone who's like on opposite sides of Robert, so he's gonna say what he wants to say in his own interest. Never mind whatever bullshit you may think. I might be trying to fool you, like, oh, he's saying he's an honest person because everyone thinks they're whatever. Maybe I live up to being honest, maybe not. But for you to really understand the dynamic in that office, is you need to put in a microphone there and listen to the conversations we have. That's the only way you can really understand where I'm coming from and understand what I'm saying to you.
I know.
That's the only way you can trust me.
It's the hardest part of my job, I gotta tell you. I'm
You
not
know?
there. Yeah.
And like I said, I have some evidence from a year ago still. Because I said I was protecting myself. That's open to you if you want to go through it. Again, it's not going to be easy for you to go through. But if you take the time, you'll see it. You'll see what I'm saying. You asked me how can Edward Jones fix things that are structurally wrong. That is one way you can do it. You can put a camera and a microphone in every office. So when things go like they are right now, you don't have to. It's illegal.
Yeah. From privacy perspective, you can't do that.
Even in the BOA's office, like the lobby room.
Yeah. You
Oh,
can't do that. That's why we have a policy against it.
okay.
It would make my job a lot easier, though. Not gonna lie. Yeah. It's very hard. We have a really unique business model, and I think when it works well, boy, does it work well. It really is our competitive advantage, and I'm proud of working for a company with that model when it works well. But it also really opens up the door to when it doesn't work well, it really doesn't work well.
Well, what's your definition of working well?
We've got a lot of branch teams, the vast majority that work really well together, build great businesses, BOAs that are happy, FAs that are happy, people who have a work relationship with their employers they're happy about. The overall employment relationship gets them what they want. The flexibility, a shorter commute, whatever that looks like for that person. Working with clients, being able to help them, that kind of recognition, just intrinsically. When it's the right fit, when people are behaving the way they should be, when you've got a strong manager in place, you've got an FA with some leadership skills, Victor Gate works really well.
Okay. Well, some of those things I think are working well here. I think our clients are happy. The
Yeah,
business is doing better than ever. I definitely like my commute, which is a walk. You know,
jealous.
um,
I drive at least an hour one way.
I used to be like that. I know.
Yeah,
As like, look, Robert just needs more leadership in the branch role, I think.
not,
And
yeah,
here's another way you can fix the structural problem at Edward Jones. So we have a branch tab, a branch prospect. So any branch, like we can put notes on a prospect, right? So anytime there's a problem a BOA has, let them record that problem in a note under the branch tab or something, and make that note undeletable or something, you know? Because BOAs, at least I should be all BOAs, but me especially, like I'm really good at taking notes. And I've just noticed some of these notes, though, you can still delete them after a month or something, you know? That's the only
really?
issue. Yeah, that's the only issue I have with them.
To be honest, I don't work on the client side of things. I don't know what those systems look like. I
Okay.
didn't think you could delete notes like that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, you can delete to-dos and calls and notes after, like, I think after a month or maybe 2 months, then they become permanent. But yeah, because I know this, because
I don't fully understand the implications of that. Yeah.
well, I mean, like, let's say there's a situation where, like, I'm arguing with Robert and I put a note down of what we discussed. He can delete that note if he's aware of it. If he's aware of it, maybe just create a system where BOAs can, in real time, talk about their problems, and that it's on the record somewhere. So, like, I don't have to, from my memory, think about a year ago about a conversation with Robert's mother. You know what I mean?
I hear you. We do have a system called trimester notes, and it's a private space where associates, you or I, can write our notes, and it's kind of to help you prepare for like your annual or your trimester reviews. So we do have a system in there. It's through the personal job information, where you can kind of keep your own notes
Yeah.
about things that are happening, and no one else can see it, just for you. Um, but yeah, I really appreciate you sharing a lot of the examples you said today. I have a lot to think about. Um, is there anything else you think I need to know about Robert? So, like, if I'm looking at it from the lens of how do I fix that, or how do I address it, or what should I know about in order to be able to address there, either with his leadership style or compliance? Is there anything else you think I should know?
Sorry, can you explain more the lens you're looking through?
So in HR, I try to fix problems, right? I try to come up with resolutions. I try to think, is there anything I can do to fix it? But I can't do that until I know what's there. Is there anything other than the examples you shared with me today that you think I should know about Robert? Like if I'm looking at it from an HR lens at Robert as a leader, as a financial advisor, as an employee of Edward Jones, anything else you think I should know that I don't already know?
Trying to think here. He he needs to understand how well things are going. That's all he needs to understand. He can't understand that for some reason.
Are you talking about the business, the relationship, or are you talking about him not celebrating successes? What do you mean by that?
I think first and foremost, the business. He needs to understand how well the business is doing, how far he's come in his 5-year plan. Um, he needs to, and like that's a lot where his stress comes from. And
He thinks he's behind.
he thinks he needs to always be on top of every little detail. Let me give you an example. Um, Lori Winter, I placed a trade for her. I bought a mutual fund and I sold the money market fund. I wasn't supposed to sell the money market fund. It's sort of a habit. Whenever you're buying something, you sell from the money market fund. And unfortunately, I made that mistake. The next morning after, before I could even get into the system to look at the branch activity and see my mistake and fix it, Robert already saw it. And as soon as I walked into the office, Robert said to me, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "What do you mean, what's wrong with me?" And he mentioned this small mistake. So that's the thing. He's so on.
Use that, like, did he use those words? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. And I took that a little bit as offended. And this was Lori Winter. This was before 2 weeks ago. Before the parking pass thing. Early January, or I don't know. You can look at the account activity for Lori Winter to figure that out. But basically, yeah, the first thing when I walked into the office, I heard from him was, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "What do you mean, what's wrong?" And he's looking through.
Morning to you too.
I know, right? But he's looking through, and he's in my area, and he's looking through my recent files, and he's like, "Where's that proposal for Lori Winter?" And I was like, "Here it is." He's like, "You weren't supposed to sell the money market fund." I was like, "Oh, sorry." He's like, "Oh, now I have to call Lori Winter and I have to explain it, and she's gonna get all upset and da da da." Like, I told Robert, "Look, I'm gonna take full responsibility here. I'm gonna call Lori Winter. I'm gonna explain it," and I did, you know. But he's still stressed about it because that's how he is with the clients. Over even the littlest mistake that never affects a client, that can be easily corrected, no money lost, just a 2 day inconvenience of like, if they log in on their online access, they can see the mistake before it's corrected. You know, it takes 2 days, 2 business days for it to show up on their system as corrected. You know, but he stresses so much about that. He's like, "It's Lori Winter. She's gonna notice this mistake and da 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 da. Why'd you make this mistake?" I'm like, "Look, I'm sorry. I take full responsibility. What can I say?" Like, it's a comment. You can see how I made the mistake, right? Though it's every time you give me a trade, I always sell the money market. It's like a little bit of a reflex. I apologize, you know. But that's how he is. Like, before I can even catch my own mistake the next morning, he's already aware of it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell him.
Address it the best way.
That's why I tell you, like, he doesn't appreciate how well the business is doing. And I feel like, normally when things are going well, you relax more, right?
Yeah.
In this case, I feel like he's just constantly the same, nitpicky about every little detail and thing. And he's not.
Have you always been like that, or did that change over time?
It depends. Like, when he knows money is coming in, when he knows he's gonna get a referral with like 300,000 next month, or like, money coming in general, then he's not worried. He doesn't have to prospect. He can just sit back and relax. Then he's more relaxed, you know? But when he knows...
Would you say he focuses on your errors, or does he know how to give balanced feedback? Like, also kind of celebrate the wins?
He doesn't celebrate the wins. And he does in the moment. I'll tell you that. He does in the moment. When he's with a client and there's stacks of paper all over his desk and they're trying to figure out everything, and I'm talking to home office, I'm talking to mutual fund companies, and I'm getting all the forms that are needed, and I'm explaining the process and why everything is needed. Then in that moment, I could see his demeanor towards me be very positive. And sometimes he'll say, like, "Isn't he a great employee?" in front of the client. So that's the thing. Like, I really shine with Robert when I'm busy doing
Yeah.
things for Robert. But when there's nothing going on in the branch and he's trying to prospect, and he sucks at prospecting. Like, he tried going back on the streets, and he comes back the next day and he's like, I hated that. That was horrible.
Yeah.
You know? And the past few weeks, he goes in his office, he closes the door, and he's making phone calls. And I don't appreciate that when he closes the door, because then I don't know what's going on his side of the branch. I can't pick up on what he needs, or what encouragement he maybe needs, you know. But he's on the phone, locked up in his room, making these prospect phone calls, I assume, then not getting anywhere, and it's probably frustrating for him, you know, because prospecting is the worst part of the job, I think.
Yeah.
So he stresses about that, and like I said, he projects a lot of his own faults and his own stress sometimes on me.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but you know, sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's part of the relationship. Like that's the BOA job description you should add is balancing that sort of, you know, relationship. And it's probably in every business relationship. I don't know. But if you're
For the record, I'm glad he said it to you in front of clients, but he does think you're really capable. That's not one of the issues.
okay.
I have to think about what to do. I have to digest this. I have to think about it. Do you have any questions for me? Anything for me to think about while you have me?
I don't know. This has been exhausting.
Yeah. Victor, I'm so sorry about your experience.
You know, I keep
Sounds like
telling,
a lot of ups and downs.
like I keep telling Robert, like, I just want to come in and be busy. That's all I want. That's it. Just want to help you run the business, grow the business.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I'm not asking for compensation. I'm not asking for bonuses. Just appreciate me in the role on a professional level.
Yeah.
That's it. I think it's a simple thing, right?
Should be, right?
And I want to do my job without compromising my integrity and my honesty.
Yeah.
Look, you asked me how I'm doing. I said terrible.
Yeah.
Okay? If you asked why, I would tell you you don't want to open that long story up. You know, if you insisted, I would tell you. That's how I am.
Yeah.
And I tell everyone this. I'm like, look, I'm very open and honest, but it's dangerous for me because, look, I was honest with his mother, and look how that turned out. You know, like
I
that
would
became
say in general in a professional environment, you do have to be careful, especially with people's family members. There's a lot of
and
personal there. That was a bad call.
it was a bad call, and I learned from
Yeah.
that, and I never brought it up again with anyone.
Good man. You learned. Yeah.
Like I said with Robert, like
Mama's always gonna take her baby boy's side,
yeah,
right?
that's the
Yeah.
thing with me is like point out my mistakes, and I won't make them again. You gotta point them out though, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Did you have
you
to think
look,
about it?
yeah, you do what you have to do. Like it is what it is at this point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call Christopher now and talk to him. Um, and then yeah, what do you want me to do? Am I not?
So I want to think about it. I don't actually know what my next steps are going to be. Definitely take the rest of the day off. If I need to reach you this afternoon with some other questions or with ideas I have, um, could I reach you again this afternoon, like 3:30? At home, don't take the rest of the day off. I'm taxed you enough today. But if I were to call you like at 3:30, if I had other questions or something like that, could I reach
Yeah,
you then?
3:30 is fine. Just I have an appointment for my cat at the vet at 4:15.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, I don't want to interrupt that. Is 3 easier?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'll call you at 3. If I have questions, I'll ask them. If I know about next steps, I'll let you know what I'm thinking at the time. If not, I'll call you either way just to let you know that I don't, and then I'll kind of let you know.
Okay.
But either way, I'll call you at 3 with my thoughts. I have to digest and think about it.
Okay.
Okay. I'll take it easy for the rest of the day.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bonjour, un English message will follow. Vous avez rejoint la boîte vocale de Christopher Taylor, auditeur en conformité pour Edward Jones. Je suis non disponible à prendre votre appel présentement. S'il vous plaît, laissez-moi votre nom et votre message et je vous reviens le plus tôt possible. Merci. Hello, you reached Christopher Taylor, compliance auditor for Edward Jones. I'm not available to take your call at this moment. Please leave me your name and message and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you. Record your message after the tone. When you've finished, you can hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Christopher. It's Victor Barista calling you. Branch A9845. Robert Lipfeld's branch. Yeah, I'm reaching out to you. I got a call from Katherine Scovell from HR. I wanted to follow up with you about what she discussed with me. If you can please give me a call back, 647-580-6909. Thank you. Bye.